Sometimes the biggest secrets hide in plain sight. One forgotten 17 magazine page from 1997 might be the tiny crack that shatters the royal fairy tale we've all believed. Not a rumor, not a Reddit thread, just printed ink that sat in archives for nearly 30 years, until author Tom Bauer reportedly connected it to Meghan Markle. On page 90, under her name, it says, age 21. That's the problem. If Meghan was born in 1981, she would have been 15 when that issue came out, not 21. A 6-year difference. Too big to be a typo, too strange to ignore. Back then, Meghan wasn't famous. No palace PR, no brand to protect, just a young woman trying to make it in Hollywood. So if that number wasn't a mistake, who gave it? And why would anyone add years instead of shaving them off? That's the question that made Bauer look twice. And what he found next started pulling apart everything we thought we knew about Meghan's timeline, her Hollywood rise, and even the royal narrative that came years later. Because here's the thing about lies. They don't collapse all at once. They unravel slowly, one detail at a time. A 6-year gap doesn't just happen. It changes everything. Because people usually lie to seem younger, not older. So if that magazine printed 21, someone must have given them that number. And that's what makes this so strange. If the 17-page was accurate, Meghan wasn't born in 1981. She may have been born closer to 1975 or 1976. And that single change rewrites her entire timeline. Think about it. When she was on Deal or No Deal, she wasn't a 20-something newcomer hustling for a break. She was possibly in her 30s, in an industry that worships youth and discards women who age past it. Suddenly, her ambition looks different. Her rise in Hollywood feels different. Even her royal romance takes on a new tone. Less fairy tale, more calculated timing. And that's why this tiny number matters. Because it doesn't just question her age, it questions the entire story she built her image on. But to really understand why this detail matters, you have to look at where it all began. In Hollywood, where bending the truth is practically survival. In Hollywood, lying about your age isn't shocking, it's survival. The industry worships youth and punishes women the moment they look too experienced. Countless actresses have shaved years off just to stay employable. It's cruel, but it's the system. So if Meghan adjusted her age to keep auditions coming, that wouldn't be unusual. It would be strategy. But the story doesn't end in Hollywood. It ends inside the British royal family, an institution built on bloodlines, dates, and exact records. And that's where everything changes. Because what works on a casting form doesn't work in a monarchy that tracks every ancestor, birth, and marriage. You can't rewrite your timeline when your children's place in the royal line depends on it. What began as a harmless Hollywood habit suddenly becomes a royal-level deception, one that could shake the foundation of the family she married into. And that's exactly when someone close to her decided to speak up. When Meghan's father, Thomas Markle, started pointing out strange gaps in her timeline, people listened. This wasn't a tabloid source or a bitter ex. It was her own father, the man who raised her, who remembered her birthdays and school years firsthand. He never ranted. He spoke calmly, almost sadly, saying the story the world was told didn't match the daughter he knew. He hinted that her official birth year might have been quietly adjusted, that the public image she built wasn't entirely real. It's easy to call him bitter or attention-seeking. But what if he wasn't chasing fame? What if he was chasing truth? A father trying to set the record straight before history rewrote his daughter into someone he didn't recognize. Because once the palace approves a version of events, it becomes fact. And Thomas knew that if he didn't speak then, the truth, whatever it was, might disappear forever. But his words did more than spark gossip. They raised a deeper question. How did the royal family, with all its resources and protocol, miss something this big? The royal family doesn't make casual mistakes. Every background check, every record, every family connection is examined under a microscope. Yet somehow, Meghan's timeline slipped through or was quietly ignored. Some royal insiders have whispered that it wasn't an oversight at all. It was convenience. The monarchy needed a modern love story, not another headline about scandalous inconsistencies. So, the past was polished, the details blurred, and the narrative sealed. But in the age of the internet, secrets don't stay buried. Fans began piecing together photos, yearbooks, and old interviews, noticing that certain details didn't align. The palace, meanwhile, stayed silent, hoping the noise would fade. Yet every unanswered question only fueled more curiosity. Because if the royals overlooked something this simple, what else might they be hiding? And that's when the speculation reached its peak, tying the age rumors to an even bigger mystery that's haunted Meghan and Harry for years. When questions about Meghan's age resurfaced, they collided with another long-standing rumor, the surrogacy theory surrounding Archie and Lilibet. Suddenly, what once seemed like unrelated gossip began to look like part of a bigger puzzle. Online sleuths argued that the confusion over her age wasn't just vanity. It could be a cover to blur timelines, pregnancies, and official documents. Of course, nothing has ever been proven, and no concrete evidence has surfaced. But that hasn't stopped the internet from connecting the dots. Because in the world of royalty, image is everything. And if a single date or detail doesn't fit, the entire fairy tale starts to crack. Some say the palace ignored the inconsistencies to protect the Sussex brand. Others believe Meghan herself used the chaos as a shield, letting people argue about one rumor while hiding something even deeper. Whatever the truth is, one thing's certain. Every mystery surrounding Meghan Markle seems to lead to another, leaving the world wondering if we've ever really known who she is. At this point, Meghan Markle's story feels less like a fairy tale and more like a riddle wrapped in royalty. Every time one mystery fades, another takes its place. Her age, her past, her children's birth stories all blur between truth, rumor, and perfectly crafted image. Maybe that's the genius of it. Maybe the real power lies in keeping people guessing, in controlling what's known, what's denied, and what's left unsaid. Because whether you admire her or question her, one thing's undeniable. Meghan has mastered the art of keeping the world talking. And in the age of headlines and hashtags, that might be the most valuable crown of all.